Rolling, and you will get yourself right here, and then we are doing
I am 30 weeks, which means, you know, for anyone that's not pregnant, because that's annoying, 30 weeks, 7 months. We have 2 months to go, guys.
Okay, come on.
Holiday season 2019 was really good. We did our first Christmas tradition as a family. We had a Christmas tree, we decked it out, we were looking for a new home. I saw my first snowflake, that was awesome. We had a lot of things on board and things that we were planning for, big things. One of which was to get pregnant.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm gonna have Ethan read it, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Ethan, what is
Hey!
The bump is growing.
I like that.
What do you think this year's holidays will look like?
God. A shit show? A second, first wave? I don't know. Which wave are we in? We won't be able to see friends or family, be able to have dinners together, which is what you do during the holidays. All I can feel for a holiday 2020 is anxiety, because Sofie will be here and I think there's going to be a lot of sick people. In January, we were pretty much occupied with the loss of Kobe, wildfires. Nothing would have prepared us. Nothing would have been an indicator of what 2020 was to become.
When did you first start hearing about coronavirus?
I first started hearing about the coronavirus, just little trickles here and there. It didn't really gain traction until even February here in the US. I know that it was becoming a larger pandemic and it was killing people in China, but we're so far away and we just didn't feel like it was anywhere near close to home. I didn't take it seriously. We had just come back from Palm Springs. We were just living our lives. You went to Vegas. While you were gone in Vegas, I have found out that I was pregnant with our second kid. The early days of the pandemic was a really confusing time. It was almost impossible to find hand sanitizer or disinfectant wipes, toilet paper, water. We were just buying like microwavables, you know, chimichangas. We didn't know what we were doing. All of a sudden, we weren't allowed to go outside, nor did we want to. People were scared to go outside. Things like flour and milk and berries was very hard to get. This pandemic definitely threw a monkey wrench into all my romantic ideas of what my second pregnancy would be like. I kept on saying, this is the worst time to be pregnant. I remember just feeling so out of my body the first time, and I had anticipated this time around being a lot more exciting, and I wanted to get pampered. I wanted to go get massages. I wanted to get my hair did and keep my nails done. Just a lot more self-love. I really anticipated to have like this most amazing second pregnancy. All of a sudden, I had so many questions like, can you get coronavirus and then pass it to your baby? What if I have COVID and I have to deliver? Will I have to wear a mask? what are some of the options that I have if I do get coronavirus? I can't take pain medication. You have to get a lot of blood tests and a lot of testing. So every time you have to leave your house to get your blood drawn, or when you see your doctor, it's a risk. Not to mention that you have to go alone. You can't go with your spouse. You can't go with your family. It just changes the entire dynamic of your pregnancy experience. If I'm not feeling well, or if there is an emergency and something goes awry, we're gonna have to go to the emergency room. That's somewhere that you go to get fixed. But all of a sudden it turned into a place where you can get sick. I was not able to find a lot of information, if any, in regards to pregnancy.
Can you shout out Dr. Fauci?
Poor Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is amazing. He's like the only guy that knows any information. I think he really likes to state only the facts.
On a scale of 1 to 10, specifically for your question,
I mean,
how helpful has Dr. Fauci been to you?
yeah, he's been like a 6. But nobody knows. Nobody has the answers to pregnancy and coronavirus.
What were some of your biggest worries like that you didn't want to say out loud?
My greatest fear is that I will contract it and pass it on to the baby or affect the birth, which will then affect your entire family. There's no measure of fear for that. Being pregnant is already really hard, but one of the biggest things about being pregnant is that there is really no such thing as like dad guilt. There's a ton of mom guilt, and that happens and it starts when we're pregnant. Anything that could happen if you deliver a baby that might be sick, or that might have an issue, or that might not be near perfect. For example, Sydney has glasses. I don't feel like you feel any of that dad guilt. You don't feel in any way you caused her to have glasses, but that's the difference between moms and dads. Like, moms have guilt. So in this pandemic, God forbid something were to happen and I got coronavirus, I just feel like the effects of that guilt would really be a lot more of a burden to me than it was to you. I also remember just constantly, like, the vibe of our home had changed because we were stuck to CNN. People started losing their jobs, and friends and families, businesses were affected. There was a lot of news about Asian people being attacked during this time, just portraying racism towards us, this lack of feeling safe in our own country. It didn't help that our president referred to this virus as the China virus. So all of a sudden, you and I were discussing things that we had never considered. There were lines out the door of people just getting strapped and buying guns, and we were actually talking about that.
How did you bring yourself back to a good place?
I definitely needed to unplug. The access to information overload, and when it's constantly bad news bears, I just had to step away and be in my happy bubble. My morning lattes, the little joys. I binge watched Harry Potter and Twilight and all these silly shows because I just needed an escape.
How did the pandemic affect some of your relationships?
Everyone was wanting to talk about this new thing that was happening in their lives. It was crazy. Everyone wanted to be like, did you hear what Trump said? Or do you think this quarantine is gonna last until July? It's August, by the way. I think I probably would have shared being pregnant with my close circle of girlfriends a lot sooner. Like, if we weren't going through a pandemic and I was meeting up with my girlfriends at a bar, me turning down a glass of wine would have been a clear indicator that I was pregnant, so the cat would have been out of the bag.
I think it would have been pretty easy to snuff you out.
I don't think I've ever yelled so much at my parents. My dad, specifically, is as high risk as you could possibly be. He is 73, he has diabetes, high blood pressure, he is a cancer survivor. Somebody has to feed the turtles. You know, they have turtles at their their business. These turtles are the turtle's life is more important than your own life. We never had a family chat with all of us. Even Kenneth joined in. I've definitely come to appreciate his sense of humor a lot more. Destiny, you know, she's crazy. David has absolutely been the source of information, period. I mean, any sale, any news updates, I mean, he's
How do you start with sale during a pandemic? How do you start with sale?
He knows all the best deals. I love Karen. She trolls David and it's hilarious.
So you've mentioned, feeling guilty with Sydney for not eating enough fish. She's 4 years old now. Have you introduced more fish into our diet?
No, I'm not eating fish. I'm pregnant. I want to eat the stuff that I want to eat, or this little girl wants to eat. She doesn't want no fish.
What does she want?
She wants pork. She wants a lot of pork. I pickled carrots, pickled jalapenos. I made so many different variations of pickles. I was so stereotypical pregnant.
Let's cut the cake. Let's cut the cake. I want to eat it. I'm going to eat it.
What's the thing you dislike the most about being pregnant during a pandemic?
We were supposed to go to our best friend Zach's wedding in Singapore. I was gonna make the trek, pregnant and all, in that heat, in that humidity. I was gonna do it for you, Zach. Singapore is one of my favorite places to visit for a prego in one of those hawker centers. That would have been amazing. Sophie would have loved that. Hainan chicken and rice, satay, probably pork satay, desserts, those little tea cakes that are dying because there's not too many people that know how to make that. We had planned on going to Canada way more. We were supposed to go to Portland to meet Connor B. Hyman and see our besties.
One thing specifically that you liked the most about being pregnant during this pandemic?
I've thoroughly enjoyed taking Sydney out to ride her bike and her scooter in a completely empty Americana and to have access to that sort of experience. It's kind of a really special thing that not many people get to experience. So I really like that. I had no idea that to offset the fact that I wasn't able to experience a pregnancy the way I had expected to, that I would be enjoying it in an entirely different way that I wasn't expecting. Pregnancy could be a kind of a lonely journey. My first time around, it did feel that way. But this time around, I almost wanted some loneliness. I mean, you guys were with me 24/7, but it became a huge blessing. Sophie, you probably heard so much laughter, so many giggles, so many good times, such good food. Your big sister just being the biggest help. I'll be really honest, I am a closet introvert. Kind of was built for quarantining and social distancing.
Cut. We're good. All right.
Oh man, welcome to the trade show. We got what you need, bring them something they could